You ever notice that the most desired women rarely end up with the men who try the hardest? That the guy who does everything, who's always available, who shows too much interest, simply doesn't generate that tension that makes her lose sleep thinking about him. There's a reason for this, and it has nothing to do with luck, looks, or money. It has to do with something most men simply don't understand. Female desire doesn't respond to logic. It doesn't obey morality, doesn't follow what she says she wants, and certainly doesn't react to excessive effort. Female desire responds to perception, to emotional control, to silent internal leadership. And the man who masters this controls the game without needing to move a single piece. This video isn't about cheap seduction tricks. It's not about ready-made phrases or pickup artist techniques you saw in some questionable course. This is about understanding the invisible architecture of attraction, that psychological structure operating behind every look, every silence, every movement she makes towards you. It's about becoming the type of man she can't completely figure out, and precisely because of that, can't forget. I'm going to show you the hidden map of female desire, that knowledge nobody teaches because it requires you to completely change how you position yourself in the world. If you want real female attention, the kind you can't buy with compliments or win with persistence, stay until the end, because what I'm about to reveal goes against everything they taught you about attraction. Every woman has a silent point, an internal trigger that doesn't respond to what you say, but to what you are. This trigger isn't connected to her reason, it's connected to the primitive perception of value, to the instinctive feeling that there's something in you she doesn't completely control, and that's exactly where desire is born. Not when she understands you, but when she feels she doesn't totally dominate you. The great illusion that destroys most men is thinking desire is built with action, with gifts, compliments, availability, visible effort. They think the more they demonstrate interest, the more she'll reciprocate. But the truth is cruel. The more you act, the more you communicate neediness. The more you're available, the more you lose authority. The more you try to secure the connection, the more you kill desire. The man who understands this reverses the logic. He doesn't act too much. He occupies space with tranquility. He doesn't compete for attention, he simply exists with a presence so solid that she naturally gravitates toward him. This isn't passivity, it's control. Absolute control over your own reactions, over your need for validation, over the desperate impulse to ensure she likes you. Because the moment you need her to like you, you've already lost. Presence is everything, but not common physical presence. It's the presence that transmits calm amid chaos, firmness without aggression, intention without urgency. It's the type of presence that makes her pause, that makes her look at you twice, that makes her wonder why you're not chasing like the others. And this presence is built in silence, in the firm gaze that doesn't look away when she tests, in the absence of hurry when everyone around is accelerated, in the mystery you maintain naturally because you have no need to explain every thought, every movement, every intention. Mystery isn't pretense. It's not the game of disappearing and reappearing like an insecure teenager. It's the natural consequence of a man who doesn't live for external validation. When you don't need to prove anything, you automatically become intriguing. When you don't justify yourself, you automatically become more interesting than 1,000 words could make you. Woman feels this. She doesn't rationalize it, but her body reacts. Her mind starts working alone, filling the empty spaces you left, creating narratives about who you are, what you think, why you act that way. And the more she fills in alone, the more she invests emotionally, because the human brain values more what it builds than what it receives ready-made. Now comes the deadly mistake that destroys everything. The common man meets a woman who sparks his interest and immediately starts talking too much. He explains his life, his intentions, his plans, his feelings. He thinks he's building connection, but he's killing tension. He transforms interest into excess, presence into invasion, possibility into predictability. And predictability is the silent killer of desire. When she already knows exactly what you're going to say, how you'll react, what you'll do,
desire dies. Because desire needs uncertainty. It needs space. It needs that delicious tension of not knowing completely what comes next. The man who talks too much gives away all the cards. The man who acts too much shows desperation. The man who justifies himself too much communicates insecurity. And insecurity, my friend, is emotional repellent. No matter how well-intentioned you are, no matter how much you really like her, if you communicate need, if you show you require this, you become just another one. And being just another one means being forgettable. It means being the option she considers when she's bored, but never the option that drives her crazy, that invades her thoughts, that makes her question her own choices. So let's talk about seduction that seems illegal. That type of emotional impact that makes her wonder if you did something on purpose, but that's actually just you operating at a level most men don't even know exists. Real seduction isn't conquest. It's not you chasing, it's not you convincing, it's not you trying to gain approval. Real seduction is creating a psychological environment where she feels she chose alone, where she believes it was her decision to approach, invest, open space for you. But the truth is, you planted small stimuli and let her unconscious complete the rest. You didn't compete for attention, you were the pause in her chaos. While all the other men are shouting, you whisper. While everyone is accelerating, you decelerate. While everyone is trying to impress, you simply exist with a solidity that doesn't need external validation. And this creates such a strong contrast that she can't ignore. Because every woman is surrounded by men trying something, but the man who isn't trying, the man who's simply being, that's rare. That's disturbing. That's unforgettable. There are layers to this game, and each one needs to be understood if you want real impact. The first layer is emotional. You need to become the place where she doesn't need to prove anything. Everyone demands something from her. Society demands, family demands, friends demand, other men demand. But you don't demand. You observe, you accept, you allow her to simply be, without judgment, without pressure, without suffocating expectation. This creates a powerful bond because you become the only safe space amid a world that constantly charges her. The second layer is controlled unpredictability. You don't disappear like a coward, but you're also not always available like a dog. You have your own rhythm. You have your own life. You don't let her fit you perfectly into her emotional schedule. Sometimes you're present, sometimes you're focused on other things, and this generates healthy tension because she never has absolute certainty of when she'll have you completely. The third layer is selective attention. You observe details other men ignore, not the obvious ones like clothes or hair, but the subtle ones. The way she talks when she's nervous, the subject that makes her eyes shine, the contradiction between what she says and what she demonstrates. When you notice this and act based on it, without fanfare, without pointing it out, just adjusting your presence, she feels you really see her. And being truly seen is rare. It's addictive. The fourth layer is emotional self-control. Women test. Always. Not out of malice, but because they need to know if you're solid or if you crumble under pressure. They provoke, challenge, create situations to see how you react. And most men fail miserably. They justify themselves, get irritated, become defensive, try to prove something. But the man who understands the game, he doesn't react. He responds with calm, with humor, with strategic indifference. He shows he's not shaken by little games, that he doesn't lose his center because of emotional testing. And this, more than any beautiful words, communicates real value. The fifth layer is calm physical presence, proximity without hurry, intention without aggression. When you're near her, you don't anxiously invade her space. You occupy naturally. You touch when it makes sense, not when you're desperate for contact. You look into her eyes without looking away, but also without turning it into a childish power dispute. You transmit physical security, that primitive feeling that being near you is being in a safe place, but at the same time, slightly dangerous. Safe because you have control. Dangerous because she doesn't have total control over what you awaken in her. Don't forget to leave your like on this video if you're enjoying the content so far. This helps the channel reach more people who need to understand these truths nobody talks about openly. And if you want to completely master this invisible language of attraction, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. because the next videos go even deeper into the psychology that transforms ordinary men into unforgettable men. When all this is operating, when you incorporate these layers without forcing, without staging, simply as natural extension of who you've become, something changes in her. You start noticing subtle signs. She starts testing you more, not less, more. And that's good. It means you're occupying emotional space. She becomes more curious, asks more questions, observes more. She starts noticing details about you that she previously ignored. She mentions things you said days ago, proving she was thinking. She creates opportunities to be close, but pretends it was coincidence. She provokes, but in a different way now, a way that seeks reaction, that seeks confirmation that you're still firm. And it's exactly at this moment that most men ruin everything. Because when they feel they've finally won her interest, they accelerate. They start acting like they've already secured something. They increase the frequency of messages, meetings, demonstrations of interest. They think now they can relax and be themselves, which usually means going back to being needy.
But the man who truly understands? He does the opposite. He decelerates even more, because he knows the game isn't over. Actually, now the most delicate phase begins. Winning interest is easy when you understand the principles, but consolidating psychological bond, that requires emotional consistency. It requires you maintain the same posture that generated attraction, without falling into the trap of thinking now you can settle. You continue being the man who doesn't need her, but chooses to have her around. You continue being unpredictable enough to maintain tension, but reliable enough not to generate destructive insecurity. It's a fine line, and most can't walk it. Either they become too distant and lose connection, or too close and kill desire. The balance is in keeping your life, your purposes, your priorities intact, while allowing her to occupy significant space, but not central. She needs to feel she's important, but not that she's everything. Because the moment she becomes everything, you lose power. And when you lose power, she loses respect. And when she loses respect, desire disappears, no matter how much she rationally likes you. Desire isn't rational. Desire is visceral. And it only remains alive in the presence of a man who keeps himself whole, independent of her presence or absence. Maintaining emotional consistency means you don't drastically change when she's irritated, distant, testing, or playing games. You remain the same solid man who initially attracted her. It's not cold indifference, it's emotional stability. It's you knowing that her oscillations don't define your value, your peace, your center. And this is extremely attractive because most people, men and women, are emotionally unstable. They react to everything. They go up and down according to the other's mood. But when you're the rock amid her emotional storm, when you're the only one who doesn't enter the chaos, you become indispensable. Not because she needs you to survive, but because the presence of someone like this is so rare that her brain naturally values, protects, desires to keep nearby. You become emotional reference, the place she returns to when everything is confused, and that's much more powerful than being just someone she physically desires. That's becoming someone she deeply respects, and respect is the foundation of everything. Without respect, desire is temporary. With respect, desire is sustainable. But attention, maintaining power doesn't mean transforming into an emotional tyrant. It's not about dominating her, controlling every move, manipulating feelings. That's weak man behavior disguised as strong. Real power is subtle. It's leading without pressing. It's influencing without forcing. It's creating a gravitational field so strong that she naturally orbits around you, but always feeling she has freedom to leave if she wants. And precisely because she feels she has freedom, she chooses to stay. Because what binds isn't chain, it's connection. And real connection only exists when both choose to be there, not when one is desperate and the other is taking advantage of someone else's desperation. The man who becomes unforgettable is the one who never needed to trap. He was so whole, so present, so solid that she simply can't imagine life without that energy nearby. And not out of sick dependency, but because he added something real, something deep,
something she never found anywhere else.
So what's the final big takeaway here? It's simple, but brutal. True control isn't about her. It never was. It's about you, about mastering your reactions, your insecurities, your needs, about building a life so solid that a woman's presence is a bonus, not a necessity, about becoming the type of man who, when he enters an environment, people feel. Not because you're shouting, but because you're truly present, because you're not hiding behind masks, you're not pretending to be something you're not begging for attention. You simply are. And this being is so authentic, so solid, so unshakable, that it generates a magnetic field. People want to be near, want to understand, want a piece of that peace, that firmness, that silent certainty that you know who you are and where you're going. And when a woman feels this, she doesn't just want a piece. She wants to be together on the journey, but not as weight, as company. And that changes everything. The journey to becoming this man isn't quick. It isn't easy. It requires you look inside and destroy the illusions they've sold you your whole life. The illusion that you need external validation to have value. The illusion that being too nice attracts respect. The illusion that women want men who agree with everything. The illusion that showing weakness all the time is healthy vulnerability. It's not. Healthy vulnerability is strength that chooses to open up, not weakness that can't hold itself together. It's you knowing you can carry the weight alone, but deciding to share. It's different from throwing the entire load in someone else's lap because you can't handle it. Woman values the man who has his own emotional structure and chooses to include her, not the man who crumbles and needs her to recompose himself. It may seem harsh, but it's the truth nobody has the courage to say.
You want to know the difference between the man who's an option and the man who's a priority? The option man changes depending on who's near. He adapts too much, agrees too much, gives up himself to fit in. The priority man remains. He can be flexible, can be understanding, but has clear limits, has values he doesn't negotiate, has behaviors he doesn't accept. And when he establishes this without aggression, just with calm firmness, he communicates something powerful. I have standards. I don't accept just anything. I choose who I'm with and under what conditions. And this isn't arrogance, it's self-respect. And self-respect is sexy. Self-respect is rare. Self-respect makes you stand out in a world full of men who accept anything just to not be alone. You're not afraid of solitude. You'd rather be alone and whole than accompanied and fragmented. And when a woman perceives this, she knows. This man isn't like the others. This man won't beg, won't lower himself, won't lose dignity for crumbs of attention. And this activates something primitive in her: respect, admiration, real desire. Now let me ask you an honest question. Are you willing to make this transformation? Because if you just want quick tricks, memorized phrases, superficial techniques, this isn't the path. This requires real change. It requires you become someone different, someone better, someone who doesn't need to pretend because he simply is. It requires discipline. It requires self-awareness. It requires you stop blaming women, society, luck, and take total responsibility for your presence in the world. Because at the end of the day, you attract what you are, not what you desire. If you're insecure, needy, reactive, you'll attract women who exploit this or who simply don't respect you. If you're solid, centered, intentional, you'll attract women who recognize real value. It's that simple. It's not a question of moral merit, it's a question of energy. You emit a frequency, and that frequency attracts compatible frequencies. If you don't like what you're attracting, change the frequency. Change who you are. Every day you choose. Choose to be reactive or responsive. Choose to be needy or abundant. Choose to be predictable or maintain an element of mystery. Choose to talk too much or leave space for tension. Choose to seek validation or radiate confidence. Choose to be just another one or become unforgettable. And these choices accumulate. One day becomes a week, week becomes month, month becomes year. And suddenly you look back and realize, I'm no longer that guy. I don't need to prove anything anymore. I don't get anxious when she takes time to respond. I don't panic when she tests. I don't bow to please. I simply am. And it's okay. And this state of being okay is the most attractive state that exists. Because when you're truly okay alone, people feel it and want to be near that energy. Because energy of completeness is magnetic. Energy of neediness is repellent. It's basic emotional physics. If you made it this far, you're already different from most. Most don't have patience for complex truths. Most want magic pill, instant solution, formula that requires no effort. But you stayed, you absorbed, and that says something about you. You're willing to truly understand. So let me give you the final push. Share this video with that friend who's lost, who's self-sabotaging, who's playing the game completely wrong and doesn't understand why. You can change someone's trajectory with this. And if you want to keep evolving, if you want to understand even deeper layers of this dynamic, the next videos will take you beyond, far beyond. So subscribe now, activate notifications, and be part of this group of men who decided to stop accepting mediocrity and started building excellence. Because in the end, the choice is yours. It always was. Do you want to continue being forgettable, or do you want to become unforgettable? The answer to that question defines everything, defines how women react to you, defines how you feel about yourself, defines the level of relationships you'll have for the rest of your life. So choose wisely. And remember, true power was always internal. Always.